So I started, I graduated with LUMS in 2015. My majors was accounting and finance, and my research study was based in consumer behavior. So I joined a private company soon after my graduation, and soon I realized that the usual private sector is not for me. I wanted more challenging role, and for this purpose, I shifted to Tripda. It was a rocket venture, and soon as I joined Tripda, I got to know that it's a global shutdown which is happening, and a week later, I had no job. So then we thought, what should we do? But then, thankfully, after much later, I got a job into Daraz. And when I got into Daraz, my family members were saying, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" इसका तो नाम भी नहीं सुना था. So इस तरह की बातें भी सुनने में आई. But now, 5 years down the line, everyone knows Daraz, and it has been a huge journey. It has been a great journey along these 5 years. I started off as a key account manager in fashion category in Daraz. So Daraz was mainly known for its fashion category as well as electronics back then. But now it's all around. It operates in every category, you know. 2 years back, I was given the role of handling the mother and baby category, and I was given the responsibility to increase the category volume, category share, drive growth. And it was a great experience with having brands like PNG and onboarding new brands, which especially came to Pakistan, like Molfix from Turkey. This type of brands have collaborated with us, partnered with us, done specific launches onto Daraz, and they kept Daraz as the first platform to launch in. Recently, we had launched a new brand from UAE. It's known by the name of Fine Diapers. So it came to Daraz before it launched in the retail sector and big LMTs, IMTs. So it's a huge success for us. Recently, last October, almost a year back, I was given another challenging role to manage the grocery category for the company. And now I have been managing grocery alongside with mother and baby. So this makes 2/3 of the FMCG sector of Daraz. So in our FMCG sector, we have health and beauty, grocery, as well as mother and baby category. So I have been managing 2/3 of the FMCG sector, and it has been a great experience, and we'll share some of the experience with our members and our viewers.
Thank you, Aamir. Our second panelist is Hussain Mujtaba. He has joined us all the way from Dubai, and he's the Customer Acquisition and Retention Executive E-commerce at RB Middle East. So, Hussain, why don't you tell us about your experience and how did you end up in this e-commerce industry?
Assalamu alaikum. First, it's good to be back within the LUMS environment. I have worked with most of you in one capacity or the other, Aamir, Myra, Hussain, and it's good to be back in touch with you guys, of course. So as Aamir was my TA as well, by the way. So I graduated in 2017 with accounting and finance major. Started off in a financial role at a bank, Mizan Bank, but soon I realized that it's a bit too slow. I got into Daraz, and again, my parents were also like, where are you going? There is no such place as Daraz. When you're leaving a bank and established industry and going to a more of a developing one, and we don't even know of it. But it was the best decision I took, I think, apart from going to LUMS, I would say. So the reason is the industry itself is so dynamic and growing that every day you have to challenge yourself first, and second, you get to learn so much. I don't think till this day there has been a month at work where I haven't learned anything new. So I started with Daraz. I managed digital marketing. You might remember those Gyara Gyara ads, those Noori songs coming on your YouTube every day, 5 or 6 times a day, annoying you, especially from 9th or 8th or 9th of November. And that was me doing all of that. So I managed that. And then I got an offer from here in Dubai from a place called Bayoud in February. And I moved to Bayoud in March yeah, in March 2019. Yeah, 2019. It was a different industry, big ticket item, of course. So you don't go. It is a property portal here. It's not everyday item kind of thing. You might be visiting Daraz every 15 days, 30 days, or even every day, but not by you, because once you buy a house, you are not either you are doing something wrong or you are not going to be a by you customer every day. So I got that big ticket experience as well, and then so it got a bit slower towards the end because again. It's a big ticket item. In the slow, like the low AOV items, it's everyday task, everyday hustle. So I joined RB for that, and now I am part of RB's e-commerce team, focusing on performance marketing. Usually, looking at the marketing on different retailers, including Amazon, Moon. We have a few on-demand channels as well, InstaShop, and what else? Talabat, yeah. So I've been doing that. And for the past 2.5 years, I've been in performance marketing, digital marketing roles, managing YouTube, Facebook, other networks as well. So yeah, that's how it has been. And it has been an amazing journey. Whoever is looking forward to find a career in these days, I would recommend e-commerce for sure to everyone.
Thank you, Mujtaba. Our next panelist for today is Humza Mahfooz. He is the Assistant Manager, Digital Transformation at Unilever. So Humza, please tell us about your background and experience in this industry.
Sure. So hello everyone, my name is Humza. I completed my MBA in 2014, and then I joined this amazing company called LUMS Pakistan. And there, so unlike Mujtaba and Aamir, I'm not a professional e-commerce professional, but I've been associated with the e-commerce industry on and off in between because in Dolans, along with leading the marketing communications, my other role was also to set up an e-commerce platform for Dolans. And in 2014, the dynamics of e-commerce were totally different, especially for electronics. Because the trust, and I remember working with Daraz very closely at that time. Daraz was also very new, and convincing the management to get on board with a new e-tailer was very different because the priority for manufacturers were very different at that time. E-commerce was not really considered as a proper sales channel, especially in CTIA companies. And even till date, I think there are a lot of companies who do not really, I think post-COVID, things have changed, but yeah, we'll talk about that. So I worked there for 2 years, learned a lot of stuff, worked really closely with Daraz, Yevo.com. Then I got a chance to got a chance to work for Unilever Pakistan. My first role was in the department, a newly set up department of neuromarketing. So every day was I was learning something new, and so we established a neuromarketing lab in Pakistan, and which helped all the brands I was working with within Unilever, and we were providing them shopper insights, consumer insights. We were mapping the path to purchase of e-commerce websites. We were partnering with a lot of e-commerce websites. Then, along with my neuromarketing role, I also was managing nationwide in-store visibility. So all the structures that are going inside the store. So my experience overall is of a hybrid, online and offline. I would really call myself an omni-channel professional rather than just an e-commerce expert. Um, and yeah, so in November, we started this really exciting journey. We partnered with the Venture Dive, who is a tech giant, and we ventured into a brand new platform, very unlike Unilever, very different from the existing brands which we have. And we launched this platform called Munchies. Um, you might have heard of it, but it's basically a snacking platform. It's actually Pakistan's first snacking platform, and we want to become the biggest snacking platform in Pakistan. Right now, the snacking industry, which we have measured, is around 2 billion industry in Pakistan, and it's an untapped market because the value share, the value per order value is so low that people are really reluctant to get into this business. And secondly, the delivery model is so difficult because, for example, 20 रुपए के chips हैं, 50 रुपए की ice cream है, 100 रुपए की. So the delivery model is so difficult because we are catering the impulse category. So people want to order these things. If you're craving for an ice cream, people want it now, right now, right? They can't wait for 2 hours or 1 hour. Yeah. So our USP right now is we are delivering snacks within 25 minutes. So yeah, I'm right now I'm looking after the marketing and growth for Munchies.
Thank you so much, Hamza. So now we'll go towards the questions that we have for these specific panelists. And one thing that Hamza mentioned in his introduction is that post-COVID things have changed. This is exactly what my next question is. That I want to ask all the panelists that how their company they leverage the use of e-commerce post-COVID. And I would like to start with Aamir because Aamir is working in Daraz, and Daraz is purely an e-commerce based platform. So Aamir, why don't you tell us about this?
So when the COVID started, we were eagerly waiting about the government's policies. So we had everything with us, and we were always ready to serve our customers. But initially, what happened was the government of Pakistan said, like in initial 15 to 20 days when there was a spike in cases, they even banned the online deliveries. So that was a little setback, which was in line for us. But as soon as the delivery started, our only aim was to work with essentials. So we knew that at this point of time, the priority should be given in terms of essentials which almost fall in our category, FMCG category. So we work with the giants like P&G, Unilever, RB for health and sanitization kits, hand sanitizers. Then we started procuring the ration bags for the distribution, and also we partnered with the government of Pakistan in order to distribute these ration packages which the government announced, because Pakistan has so many cities to cater with, and obviously the government needed some players which already have the logistics and delivery capacity. So we also partnered with the government, and we got our own ration bags made, in which we kept all the things of necessity, and this is how we try to tap in through essentials. Also, we launched our DMart platform, which is a one-stop solution for all the FMCG goods. You can find grocery, you can find health and beauty items, you can find kitchen essentials. So the main USP for DMart which we had is fast delivery. So we had only those products in this platform which are with us in the warehouse. So we wanted to give customers the experience they get, the shopping with Imtiaz or maybe Chase, and in Lahore you can see Al Fateh. So whenever they go, they find all the places under one roof. So we wanted to provide them the complete basket size. We also increase our order size for DFresh. DFresh is Daraz vegetables and fresh fruits platform. We started serving more customers and kept the USP same. For DFresh, our USP is same day delivery or next day delivery. There are certain order cutoffs as well. So we didn't compromise on our quality, but we served more customers in the FMCG sector, and we compromised on our sales in electronics and fashion because we had to shut that down. But we used our resources from those categories in the FMCG sector, and we served our customers. And still, that spike of sales can be seen as the COVID is reducing, as the situation is getting better. Still, that trust in the platform has been there. People are trusting the platform. the platform. People are trusting online shopping, and they are coming to Daraz to shop their grocery and FMCG needs.
Yes, exactly. I think there has been a shift. Even those consumers who were not that comfortable ordering online, even they have started ordering online post-COVID. Next, I would like to ask the same question from Hamza. Um, so, Hamza, what are your insights regarding this?
So I'm not going to take a lot of time because I think Aamir has mentioned a lot of points. But I'm going to say something that, the difference between a good company and a great company is how people respond to change and uncertainty, right? And I think in these COVID times, this thing became really important for everybody to understand that e-commerce is the name of speed, right? And how quickly you adapt, how quickly you can adapt, and are you prepared for uncertainties or not? So I think the most important thing is, so for example, like if I particularly talk about Munchies, it's a snacking platform, right? And we have nothing to do with the COVID essentials like hand sanitizer or soaps. But we thought during these times, while staying to the platform, it's important to serve the community as well. So during that particular time window, we added sanitizers, we added shampoos, we added all the COVID essentials which were prescribed by the government during that time. And the once the things got better, so we removed it from the platform just so that the platform stays true to its purpose, right? But I think the learning that I want to communicate to everybody who's listening right now is, unlike all the other departments, maybe finance or supply chain, I think e-commerce is where you need the speed to change and be prepared for the unexpected.
Yes, exactly. And now I would like to ask Mujtaba, because Mujtaba joined RB Middle East right when COVID was at its peak. So I'm sure he also has an interesting perspective to offer.
Yeah, so COVID itself was like here especially in UAE, the implementation of the laws are more strict than what we experience in Pakistan. The lockdown means lockdown. For 26 days straight, we could not get out of our houses. All right, so we don't have any other option other than ordering online, or we go through all the hassle of doing this and that. So the first thing is I asked someone the same question during another webinar, and I asked him, how do you see? So it's an adaptation of the new normal, right? And I asked them, do you see things to stay this way, or the preference of doing stuff online stay after COVID ends? And in here, and I know in Pakistan, the restrictions are gone, but still he responded to me that it's hard to change your habits. We know it for a fact in everything we do, maybe the time at which we watch our favorite shows or whatever we want to do. If it becomes a habit, it's hard to change. And now buying online was forced upon us, and it became a habit to us. There will be people, of course, if there were 100 people buying during COVID times, there won't be 100, there might be 80. But before COVID, it was probably 40 or 50 or even 20. So the shift in the baselines or the curve has gone upwards. It's not coming back at the same level as of COVID. That's for sure, pre-COVID times, of course. But again, you have to keep up with the pace. Now people do have the other option as well. And to make sure for us people in the e-commerce industry that people stick to it, we have to not even maintain the level of servicing we were providing them with, but also increase or make it better, an even better experience. Why would people want to buy whatever, maybe clothes, maybe phones or whatever it is, by just looking at it online, or if they can go to an Apple store and have a feel of the product itself? It will only be if they are getting something out of the deal. That might be ease, that might be better servicing, and that might be added benefits. So we have to look at it. COVID itself has given a huge push to an e-commerce industry. It can be not ride hailing, of course, it was adversely affected, but the deliveries, for instance, food, Aamir was talking about FMCG, other things like clothes and other things. Also services. I was thinking what else is remaining. I think services is something which e-commerce hasn't been doing as of now in Pakistan, especially. You cannot order a maid probably. There is one website, there is one app or website. I'm not sure Sukoon.pk, but I don't think it has penetrated that greatly in the market. But that is something where we will be shifting towards as well. Of course, there is a big gap here in the e-commerce goods industry itself. I think Hassan was mentioning there is a 37% penetration. At my time at Daraz, we were calculating around 30% penetration of internet and 3G devices. Now it has gone up by 7%, which is huge considering the size of population Pakistan has. But still, there are around 60% people who haven't still got the access, and 60% means more than 100 million people who still haven't got the access. So there is a lot to be covered, and we need to learn, as Humza was mentioning, we need to learn from COVID that how quickly we have to change. Again, every company has to be basically adapting to what they have already learned, and they need to make sure that not only maintaining what they did during COVID, they have to enhance the experience so that customers stay with the model, or they stay with the habits they have already built during COVID. Yeah.
I agree with you, Mujtaba, regarding the services sector. Even in Pakistan, as majority of the salons, the barbershops, and a lot of other service-related industries were shut down in COVID, a lot of these people started using their own contacts on WhatsApp, via Facebook, started selling their services. And I believe that with the channels, few channels already existed for home help, home renovations, and for beauty care services online beforehand. But after this COVID situation, I believe they would be formalized a bit more on a much faster track given this scenario.
Exactly,
For
agreed.
our participants, something I wanted to add, a lot of you may have some questions. So we'll be taking on a few questions at the end of the session. And your questions can be general or can be for a specific panelist. So kindly share them with Shafaq. She is part of the webinar, and we have added a Q&A title next to her name so that you can easily locate her among the participants list or the chat category. So please direct all your questions to her, and we'll try to get back to as many of the questions as possible within this session. So continuing with this, uh, within Pakistan, as we saw that a lot of stuff is happening. So me and Mahira were discussing that still a lot of ground has yet to be covered. So what do you feel are the challenges which are sort of unique to the e-commerce development, especially unique to Pakistan? And Amir, given your situation, given Daraz's situation prior to COVID and even after COVID, so what are those challenges that you feel that as a team, as at Daraz, you guys are actively trying to overcome, and whether they can be logistical, operational, or even related to the psychoanalytics of the generation that we have here or the population of Pakistan. So what are those specific challenges?
So first of all, the overall challenge which the e-commerce sector has, regardless of the industry, it's the as Mujtaba said, internet penetration. But what you guys are talking about is internet penetration, which is 30 to 35% on paper. What we need to look is the active social media users and active internet users which are in Pakistan, which is as low as 20%. Like even 20% is on the higher end. So when 80% of your population is not active social media user, so I don't expect them to download a Daraz app and shop from them, right? So that's a major challenge that we have. And as the internet penetration increases, the number of eyeballs increases, and automatically the platforms like Daraz and other websites, and also Facebook pages, the local businesses which are doing great businesses on Facebook and selling online, their sales will automatically increase when this is taken care of. And this can be taken care of through our policies from top to down. Like these policies should come from the government. Then another problem which is specific to FMCG and grocery sector is the buying habit, as Mujtaba said. So in Pakistan, people who do grocery are elders of the family, and their age usually lies from 40 to 50 years old. So their buying habit is such that they want to have the shopping experience, grocery shopping experience. They want to visit Imtiaz, they want to visit Al Fateh, they want to visit Chezab. They have to uh, they have to see the shopping cart filled with a lot of grocery products, and they have to see the promotions, and they have to buy the same rice and oil brand which they have been using past 10 to 15 years. So these buying habits are very stringent, and they don't want to change. So these are some of the things which really hindered the growth of the FMCG online sector. So this will take time to change. This slightly changed during the COVID, when people didn't have option. They had to shop online with the available options, and we at Daraz, we strive to make all the options available for them. So we contacted every brand which was not on the platform to come on board, sign up, and put the products online. And just an example, brands like Continental Biscuits, Bisconi, Lay's, Pepsi were not on Daraz before COVID. And as soon as the COVID started, within a month, these brands were online, because they realize what's ahead, and what are the challenges which they will face. And these brands are doing great, even after the COVID cases have decreased, thankfully. So these are some of the problems. Another problem is obviously the payment gateway. So still we are relying a lot on cash on delivery model, and in Pakistan, the issue is like the people order, they don't give correct addresses, and the return ratio is very high, especially in the cases where there is no receiver at the end. And this is because we are not going to the prepayment model. Still, there is a lot of room to make there. Once we have this prepayment model, prepayment share increase to 50 to 60% of overall sales, we'll see things getting in better shape in terms of successful delivery rates and reduced return ratios. This is a real pain point, especially for small sellers. And small sellers, I mean, who have a max a million amount of sale, because the 3PL partners, the third-party logistics partners like TCS and Leopards, they are charging for each delivery, regardless it's get delivered or not. So another challenge for the businesses, which I say, is the not the customers, the businesses, is the third-party logistics platform. Also, in this case, government can step up. Pakistan Post can be made more efficient. TCS and Leopards and courier services monopoly can be broken, and these are some of the things which can be taken care of easily, but with right policies.
Okay. Thank you, Aamir, for that detailed response. Humza, would you like to add something to this?
I think Aamir has mentioned most of the challenges which the e-commerce industry is facing. I think few things which I would like to add. First is, a lot of e-commerce platforms are focusing on the platforms and not on the products, because they are marketplaces, right? But this is something we understand, right? As business professionals, but the consumers, they don't understand this difference of a website or a marketplace. Because if they are buying from an retailer, if they're buying something from Daraz, then the product's responsibility also falls on Daraz, right? So I think this loop needs to be closed between the manufacturers and the retailers, right? That in case of returns, in case of bad product quality, in case of different product delivery, obviously there are certain return policies in place, but how accessible they are to consumer, and how easy it is for, because if I'm buying something from my local shop, because people always compare it with offline retailers. It's so easy. I can just go back to him. If the retailer is right next to my house, I can just go back and return the product, right? But if I'm buying from something from an e-tailer, first it took 3 days for it to arrive, and then another 4 days to get it reimbursed. And if it's a digital payment, then the bank is also involved, and it becomes a hassle for the consumer, right? Okay, so the product reversal is from the e-tailer, and the charges reversal is from the bank, right? So connecting all three dots, the bank, the e-tailer, and the manufacturer, I think from a consumer's perspective, this has to be a seamless process. And I think not just the e-tailer or the manufacturer or the bank, but the government has to play an important role as well to regulate everything and make policies which are accessible and easy for the e-commerce market. That's the only way to grow right now.
Yes, definitely. And Mujtaba, now I would like to ask the same question from you. And since you have worked in Pakistan and Middle East both, so I think you can also give us a comparison regarding both the markets.
So yeah, one thing, the first thing and probably the only thing is the trust of the consumer, and then all other things. As Aamir mentioned, the biggest part of the biggest constituent of building the trust would, or the result of building a trust would be the increase in prepayments. Again, as Aamir mentioned, I remember, I think only 15% of our payments were prepayments back in the day. And this is not a good ratio. Here in UAE, people trust the e-tailers because the reason is a next day delivery means the next day delivery. The product is more likely to be an original one or an authentic one, whatever people have ordered. At times, there are exceptions. So the e-commerce platforms have to build the trust, and how are they going to do it? It's fixing their logistics. I think logistics has to play a very big role, and it's easier said than done. It's a country of 200 million people, not the uniform kind of connectivity. We know in Clifton Defense and PCHS, it's easier to commute. But if you go for the Nazawat side or for even farther than that, it's very hard for people to commute. And then the delivery personnel, they don't have internet connectivity, or even if they have, they don't have the right kind of transport to deliver from one place to another. So for me, I think if they build a logistics system, Daraz Express is one of the biggest milestones I assume that will contribute towards the development of e-commerce in Pakistan. But first, if they fix the logistics, the consumer trust is built. And once that is built, we would, like, they will, why would I want to spend a petrol, or why I want to get, go through the hassle of parking and all that and get my everyday grocery done? Why not deliver it? Once the trust is built, I would do that. Second, it's also about, as Humza was mentioning, if you go to Dolmen Mall, you buy an outfitter's shirt and it turns out to be defective, for instance, you will blame outfitters. But if you order from Daraz, you're gonna go on Facebook groups and lash out at Daraz. If somebody knows Aamir is the manager, they might even lash out at Aamir as well. Honestly speaking, I have experienced that back in the day, not with Aamir, but I think with someone else.
They'll just tag Aamir.
So people just start calling you names and all that. So we need to make everyone aware that it is not Daraz who is selling to them. It is the product. It is the seller. It is the marketplace. I know there is some responsibility with Daraz, but we need to have a kind of an atmosphere where people know that how to buy. They just don't go and order because it's on Daraz. They look at the seller, they look at the reviews, they look at the ratings and stuff like that. We have to make everyone aware of that. And it will only start from probably the bigger cities, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and maybe Multan and Hyderabad. But it will be a very long process. So building the trust, I assume, is the 1.8 agenda the e-commerce platforms should have. Once they do that, other things will follow for slowly and gradually. From e-commerce side, it's logistics, yeah.
Hussain, generally, generally what happens is that given Daraz and other marketplaces, they are reliant on their back-end manufacturers and suppliers for a lot of their deliveries. It's not as if that a lot of online retailers, most of them have their own inventories. They have checked them for quality, or either they are the manufacturers who have control over the distribution channels who can ensure quality and a lot of things. But what do you feel that given how Middle East has flourished in terms of e-commerce, what sort of learnings from that front can be applied to Pakistan? The logistics is there. People
I
are
think
working on it. They're improving it. But what about the quality?
I think it also, like, we cannot control. I'm not sure. It must be in hundreds of thousands. Is the number of sellers on Daraz. So I'm not sure. You cannot control hundreds of thousands of individuals. But what Daraz has done in the past few years, Daraz Mall is one of the biggest initiatives I'm a very big fan of. They have the 14-day return policy. They know the sellers are actually, there's a very big team working on it. So I think that is one of the biggest way to enhance e-commerce. So getting on board the authentic sellers for everything. It can be clothes, it can be groceries, it can be mobile accessories and stuff like that. So you know there are the biggest sellers and getting them on board. Once, so it will be kind of a domino effect, I would assume, that once those 10 sellers are selling the right quality of products, people will be buying from them, the others will follow. They have to follow to sell whatever they have. Other than so, for instance, if there are 10 shops in line and you know that one of them is selling the authentic products, the others will have to follow the course. They cannot just sell you bogus, right? I assume this is what my assumption is, knowing that going into those philosophy classes that people are good from inside and stuff like that. But rational buyer would go for the right kind of quality. So this is the right approach that Daraz has taken. I assume that they have gotten on board the official sellers, and through them they are selling the right quality of products. Daraz Mall is one of the biggest initiatives. I think it's gonna help a lot the emergence of e-commerce in Pakistan. And now I think back in the day, Daraz was not in the driving seat. Now they are, because all other FMCGs, all bigger players are now dependent on them as well in one way, because from their global point of view, e-commerce is now the next big thing. So they should leverage that.
Yes, and now I would like to ask the same question from Humza, that what do you think, what factors will drive e-commerce growth in the future? I think, Humza, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I think one challenge which I see from the manufacturer's point of view is that there's this misalignment of resources, right? Because all the brands have always been used to rely a lot on agencies for their data, for their expertise in media buying, for their expertise in social media, digital marketing. But now all of a sudden, we are talking about sales, right? We're not talking about just social media engagement, right? So now the brands wants to build their own ecosystem of e-commerce, and they're also doing it, right? A lot of companies are doing a wonderful job. A lot of brands are doing a wonderful job in creating their own e-commerce ecosystem. But I think what's lacking right now, a misalignment of resources, because these are the same people who were territory managers, who were some in other department in conventional sales channels, and now they're looking after e-commerce, right? With very little background or expertise in e-commerce. So I think the future growth of e-commerce is heavily dependent on training and building the right culture of e-commerce, right? Because a lot of conventional companies still can't comprehend the fact that how this e-commerce market is working. And secondly, I think a lot of physical retailers will play a very important role, like Imtiaz, Naheed, Al Fateh. I think their contribution will only help um, gaining the trust of the conventional dogmatic customer, right? Because if a customer who is just habitual of buying stuff from Imtiaz, and when they will see Imtiaz selling everything online at the same prices or maybe even better prices, I think the reluctance which is there right now, that will ease out. Yeah. So I think there are 2 points. A, we all need to level up our expertise in growth hacking, e-commerce. And the second is the confidence of the people who are not yet on e-commerce. Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. I think speaking for myself, I was one person who was not never confident about ordering online, but even like
Yeah.
COVID also made me try this online channel. So I think that is
Yeah.
something that we
You're not alone.
yes. Now I would like to ask the same question from Aamir, if you would like to add something to this.
For the solution of challenges,
For what factors will drive e-commerce growth in the future?
I think I have mentioned 2 to 3 things, but I think on the seller side there needs to be responsibility taken. Like I'm speaking from my experience with fashion industry. So the big brands are working well, but they need to make commitments. So I'll not name a brand, but for example, I'll quote my own example. So I ordered. So you remember Eid al-Fitr time, COVID cases were on a spike. People were not going out for buying stuff for Eid. So I ordered a kurta, and I ordered on like 7 to 8 Rosa Ramzan. I was expecting delivery to happen max by 20th Ramzan, and I got the kurta after Eid. And when the guy came to deliver, I was like, sorry, I don't need it. Eid to guzar gayi bhai. So the idea is that if you are such a big brand and you cannot deliver your order on time, then maybe you have to put that restriction on the orders. Don't be greedy. Deliver your promise. Take 50 orders, deliver them, then move forward. So the idea, the key learning here is, if you want to start a business, start small, uh, take care of your customers, deliver according to your promise. Don't make such commitments which can hinder your Facebook page, which can because once the customer impression is bad, then it's very hard to bring back the same customer online and make him or her shop from your page. So this is just a key learning from my end for all the people who want to open their own Facebook page, who want to sell brownies or sell fashion stuff, whatever. Just make customer commitment such that you have to deliver that promise. Don't make such promises which you can't deliver.
Thank you, Amir. And I think our next question is also related to what you just said, which is that what are some of the key tips that you can give to small businesses who want to sell online? Yes, Amir, would you like to continue?
Yeah, most of the things which I mentioned are related to that. I'll also advise people who want to start online is just don't jump into the businesses like, yeah, just don't jump into the bandwagon कि अच्छा ये पेज ये बेच रहा है तो मैं भी ये कर लेता हूँ. Think market survey करें, see what are the options, what people in other countries are doing. Take learnings from maybe UAE, maybe India, maybe such markets which are very relative to yours. Which like Indian market is huge. Indian fashion market, e-commerce fashion market is huge. When I was managing fashion category in Daraz, I used to take inspirations from websites such as Mantra and etc. I used to see how they are doing. I still see how Flipkart, it's one of the biggest. Amazon and Flipkart are one of the biggest in India e-com. I take inspirations from what they are doing, what campaigns they are running. So it's very important to take inspirations from such websites as well, what they are doing, what products they are selling, and what are their top products. So these insights are very important if you start or if you plan to start your own e-com business. Just don't step into it for the sake of it. Do proper research. Take advice of people who are already in the industry, and then step in and then go with full commitment.
Yes, and we have a lot of students who are attending this talk, and there are a lot of students who are successfully running their own startups, and I think they can really use this advice. So next, I would like to ask the same question from Hamza, and I think he has a couple of things to show us as well. So Hamza, if you want to share your screen, I'll just stop sharing mine, and
Sure. So I think for all the people who are already doing their small businesses online, I'm just going to quickly take you through some of the insights which I learned when I was working day in, day out with neuromarketing and some e-commerce website. So like it's important to understand not just what you're selling, but also how you're selling and how you're positioning it visually. So I hope everybody can see my screen. Yeah.
yes, we can.
Okay, so just a quick question. What is Amazon selling here?
Uh, uh,
Has to be a pillow, I assume.
Yeah, so it's a pillow, right? But they're not just selling the pillow, they're selling the environment in which that pillow is being used. So your emotions are being triggered, right? If I see this picture and if I have a daughter, I'll imagine my daughter sleeping peacefully on that pillow. So it's not just the product, it's also the environment in which that product is being sold. We did this heat mapping study of eye tracking on Daraz only, by the way. So if you see this, human element always catches more attention. You know, there are three more shirts right there, but the person wearing that shirt makes the most impact, right? There is this another thing called the mimetic shopper desire, and a lot of times you've seen kids just playing and not playing with a particular toy, and as soon as this other person, other kid start picking up that toy, he wants to play with the same toy, right? So it's always good to show that the how the product will be utilized in the future, right? Because that just triggers your mimetic shopper desire. Another great insight which we got from eye tracking is your gaze is really important. So, for example, in this particular key visual, the focus, the red area is the focus, right? Of the audience. So the focus is on the baby instead of the text. But if you just change the direction of the baby towards the text, now you see the focus is on the baby and on the text as well. Another example, and there are very subtle changes that you can make to make your visuals, e-commerce visuals more interesting, right? So on my on the picture on my left or right, the model, the celebrity is looking at the audience, and all the focus is on the model. But just by shifting her eyeball towards the product, right, the focus is now on the product and on the celebrity equally, right? So if you're using human element, there has to be a connection between your product and the uh, celebrity. And there is this visual hierarchy, right, which we ideally we should be following. Colors, shapes, numbers, and then words last. But somehow we just reverse this hierarchy and start with words, right? So the human brain is wired in a way that it always picks colors, shapes, and numbers first. So, you know, so make sure whatever you're selling online, on Instagram, on Facebook, it has to be very visually very powerful, right? Another example, I'm just throwing out random examples and learnings which we got. So again, this is a heat map, and the way we browse, it creates a visual F on your web page, right? So your focus is on the topmost part, then you go all the way, and as you're going down the page, your attention span keeps on decreasing, right? So you need to know your core of the core SKUs, more profitable SKUs, where exactly you need to put them on a web page, right? Then Unilever introduced these hero images, also called mobile ready images, and now everybody is following it globally. Nestle is following it, RB is following it. You know, so the visual power is really important, right? So rather than just putting a lot of words and telling people what this product is, how this product is made, what is the format, what is the size, just in one picture, you know, you create a mobile ready hero image, and so that it's easy to digest for the consumers. And another thing, another study which we did, on a lot of Pakistani websites, we found one thing which is common, and that all the romance starts with the search bar. So all the 4 websites have one thing in common, that this particular area, the heat map suggests that this is where the action happens, search, right? So make sure. So there's this Unilever brand by the name of Tresemme. 80% of all consumers misspell Tresemme, and that's why they lose Tresemme sales online, right? So you need to anticipate the wrong spellings as well and make a repository of wrong spellings. So for example, Sunsilk is pronounced like Sunsilk in Pakistan. So you need to add your wrong spellings and anticipate what people would be doing, right? Yeah, so we were just I wanted to just quickly take you through all these learnings, and maybe we can just continue with the session now.
Yes, thank you so much, Hamza. This was very interesting, especially the heat map. Now, I would like to ask this same question from Mujtaba.
So building on to what Humza was saying, it was like he hit it very, like he really mentioned the right point, that you need to know how you are selling stuff. That is really important. But also to whom you are selling. With small or medium businesses on Facebook, Instagram, even Google, you have so many options the way you can target people, and they are so accurate at times that you would not want to see your own profile on Google. The Google platform has, because you would know how accurate they are. It's scary at times. So you need to know what kind of people you are selling to and develop your marketing or develop your communication according to that. Kareem does an amazing job, at least used to do an amazing job when Kareem was only a platform of people who were 20 to 40 or 18 to 40. They had those witty lines, they had those catchy phrases which they used to do. I would like to say the same thing for anyone who's jumping into the business. We haven't talked about digital marketing in this seminar, and that is where I have been working all around. So I would like to bring that in. So I know from a friend that he started a butcher's business in the previous Bakrid. I'm not sure about this one. So he only targeted people within Defense and Clifton, and he achieved, I think, 50 to 60% reach within the Defense and Clifton area on Facebook, using only $100. That was around 120. How much is $20? Yeah, 12,000 rupees back in the day. So you can be very specific to people, and once you know whom you are targeting, then you would also know what you have to say to them. You cannot give a catchy phrase or a kind of witty line to a 55-year-old. Sorry, like I don't want to generalize, but again, you have to develop your communication according to them. So first, you need to know whom you are targeting. For instance, when I was in property portal, we were selling to people who are more of a 30, 35. So we have to develop our communication accordingly. When I was at Daraz, my target market was more of 18 to 35. And those were the people who are more likely to get involved with your communication. And you have to show them the communication or the phrases which are going to attract. So you need to make sure whom you are selling to. Once you know that, you have millions of options in this day through digital marketing. You can be so specific. You can even target, if you have Mahira's email address, you can specifically target Mahira at least 4 times a day on Facebook. I think at least 8 times a day on Google, Facebook, YouTube, and stuff like that. So you can be this specific. You can target people who have liked, for instance, I get targeted because I like a lot of football pages. So I get targeted by those. Even the product itself, Humza was mentioning placing your SKUs. The first ad I see is for a Liverpool jersey because I have liked a lot of Liverpool pages. The Facebook algorithm itself knows. So make sure, I would suggest, know your target marketing. Other things are covered by Aamir and Humza. Make sure whom you are targeting and develop your communication accordingly. Once you do that, once you know your target, you can specifically target so many people, and in a very effective way. Your conversion rates can go up to 50-60% if you're doing the right kind of targeting. So yeah, that is my advice to anyone who is willing to jump into the online business. Do that, but first know whom you are selling to. Once you do that, I think you have a very high rate of, you can have a really high chance of success.
And with that, we come to our last question. Since our audience is mainly university students, I'm sure a lot of them would like to know the skills and expertise that is required to establish a career in e-commerce. And from whatever discipline they're studying right now, what are the specific skills that they can focus on to develop in order to establish a career in the field? And a lot of students have also asked this question. I've received this in the chat as well. So I would like to start with Humza.
So I think if you talk about the complete sales funnel of an e-commerce platform or any e-commerce website, so usually what we feel, or how we see the funnel is, we talk about awareness at the top of the funnel, and this is where your conventional marketing ends, right? Building brand equity, creating awareness. But e-commerce की funnel जो है वो उसके बाद start होती है actual, और जो पूरा growth का part है, I think मुश्तबा और आमिर मुझसे बेहतर बता पाएंगे. But I think one advice that I want to give to all the students listening, right? Start building your skill set on each level of the funnel, from acquisition to activation to referral to retention, and all the way down to the revenue, right? Because gone are the days when departments used to work in isolation, right? So you need to have an, if not skills, then maybe an understanding of the complete sales funnel, because e-commerce is so beautiful that you can actually track your sales, you can actually track your investment all the way from awareness till the time of revenue, right? So the whole chain can be tracked beautifully, right? So start reading about growth hacking, growth management, growth funnels, and start building your skills around it. I think that's from my side.
And Mujtaba, would you like to add something to this?
I would specifically talk about digital marketing more, because I've only joined the commercial side of business 2 months back. But with digital, I would say you have to be really good with numbers. You have to understand what numbers are telling you. Because with e-commerce, with digital, everything. So just look at it in a way that if you are running a shop, if you're running whatever is there, if you even have a showroom at Dolmen, you would not exactly know how many people came in, how many people looked at how many products, how many people waited or stayed in your shop for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. With e-commerce, you have each and everything available to you. You would know at exact what point a person came to you, for how long he stayed, for how many products he went through, which product he added to cart, and which product he ended up buying. So this is just an example. There's loads and loads of data available to you, and as much as you try to use it, it's going to be beneficial for you. Be very good with numbers, be very spontaneous with numbers, try understanding, try making sense of the numbers you have. If you are to get into digital marketing, growth hacking, both of these fields, you have to be really good with them. Because again, if you are able to use that data is king. We used to hear back in 2017 when I was graduating that data is going to be the next big thing. Now I see that from my own eyes. I see that how important it is to engineer data, to make sure that data is stored in the right way. If there are any science majors or technical majors, data engineering is one big thing. Then if there are business majors, making sure that data is represented and understood in the correct way. So I haven't learned that. That is where I'm lacking, honestly speaking. To try learning those languages, SQL, Python, and all that. That is going to be a big plus for you if you are to enter the e-commerce business. Digital marketing itself, the potential is huge, but you need to be very big. And especially in Pakistan, I don't think there will be more than 30, 40, maybe 50 professionals who are good at digital marketing in Pakistan right now. And most of them have traveled to UAE, honestly speaking. There are 2 or 3 companies who are actually doing the right kind of digital marketing. Pakistan Kareem might be one, Daraz is another. There might be a few TRG and others, but the right kind of digital marketing, the strategic type of digital marketing. So you will have a very good chance to succeed in the business. In Pakistan and UAE, all of UAE digital marketing business or digital marketing professionals are from either Daraz or Kareem, and most of them are LUMS graduates as well. So you will have a network of its own already built by the people, like mostly people from Daraz and other places. Mostly people from Daraz. So do that. this is one of the biggest, one of the best growing businesses or best growing professions we have here. But again, you need to be very good with numbers, understanding them, and then representing them, I would say. Yeah. Excel is one, but again, try learning those languages, SQL, Python, and all that. I would be very specific if I had to be very specific. Yeah.
Thank you, Mujtaba. And Aamir, would you like to add something? Any other skills and expertise that the students can work on?
So basically, I'll talk about two things. One thing is about the personal development, and the part where what I have seen in those 5 years is, so with respect to LUMS graduates, I still feel that the things which we used to hear when we were graduating, that LUMS graduates are very proud. I got into the field and I realized it was really true. We think that we have graduated from LUMS and all the companies will just throw jobs away at us, and we think that we are king of the markets, and sorry to say, we are not. We should realize that people who are in the industry they know the industry. They have been pushing up the hard work years on years, and we need to respect that. So first of all, the respect is very important for all those who are graduating, MBA candidates, bachelor's candidates. Try to respect people in the industry. Okay. Second thing, be patient. Once you join a company, don't think that 6 महीने में आपके छक्के लग जाएंगे and you will be getting 6 figures. ऐसा नहीं होता. You have to be very realistic. You have to join the company. You have to prove yourself. Don't think that you're a LUMS graduate and you have proven yourself already. Sorry. When you join a company, when I joined Daraz, we have people we really compete for a position, and there are people with CBM degrees, IBA degrees, international degrees. There's a very great competition. Even people from Bahria University, they were such competing individuals with such skills that I was shocked to see that these universities are producing such great graduates. So when you leave LUMS, keep it behind you. Try to seek new learnings. Just don't stop over there. The company में जाके देखें क्या हो रहा है, किससे मैं learn कर सकता हूँ. Sit with people, talk to them, engage करें, and इस तरह से अपनी learnings को बढ़ाएं. Keep on the learning curve to a higher end. Don't just stop कि बस अब graduate हो गए तो बस खत्म हो गया, बस अब job मिल जाएगी. So that's my learning from a personal development side. From what key things to have if you have to have a good e-commerce track planning के लिए. So there's a combination of skills you need to have. So you need to have a certain understanding from finance, business intelligence, business analytics, and marketing. As Mujtaba mentioned, no harm to learn digital marketing skills from YouTube, from the courses that are offered, not just for the sake of the जो वो एक कोर्सेरा आपको देता है ना, आप वो लिंक्डइन पे जाके छाप देते हैं कि मैंने ये कोर्स कर लिया कोर्सेरा से और बड़ी वाह हो जाती है. नहीं, उसको जाके सीखें. लर्न द स्किल, अप्लाई द स्किल. अपना एक फेसबुक पेज बना लें किसी चीज़ का, देखें किस तरह से मैं उसको बूस्ट कर सकता हूँ, क्या कर सकता हूँ. Practical skills adopt करें. Just don't go for the things you can flash onto LinkedIn. नहीं, उससे कोई काम नहीं होगा. When you sit in an interview, they demand skills, they demand your experiences. ठीक है? And then at any point of your life, you have to be a good salesperson. अगर आप बोलते हैं कि नहीं मुझे sales नहीं आती, मैं sales नहीं कर सकता, so sorry. For every field, you have to be a good salesperson. You have to sell yourself in an interview. You have to, whatever portfolio you are operating, you have to sell yourself. So these are some certain core skills which we learned in courses, but we just kept it in the books and we didn't apply. Try keeping track of what you have learned and how you can apply in the future, and what are the courses out there which you can learn, especially in those times where सब फारिग बैठे हैं, घर पे Netflix देख रहे हैं. Try to get onto YouTube, search करें about these courses, social media marketing, what we can do on YouTube, how can we earn through YouTube, Facebook, their monetization policies. Learn about them, and you'll see what are the possibilities out there.
Aamir, and thank you to all the panelists for your detailed responses. I'm sure our audience have learned a lot from you. And with this, we come to an end to our panel discussion. We are open for questions. And I have received a couple of questions from the audience. And I think Humza has other commitments and he has to leave early. But I have just one question which is specifically for Humza. If he can answer that quickly. Can you ask Humza about digital marketing as a field, as to what one can do to prepare themselves for a career in digital marketing? Does our discipline matter? Do we need to take up marketing courses to learn about it, or is it more of a practical field learning experience? I think this was already answered in the last question, but Humza, if you would like to add something to this and any closing remarks before leaving.
Yeah. So I think Aamir ने इसके ऊपर काफी डिटेल में बात की है, and I'm just gonna touch upon it very briefly. Digital courses are amazing way to learn. चाहे वो आप यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ें, चाहे वो आप Coursera में पढ़ें, but like Aamir mentioned, उस सर्टिफिकेट की अब कोई वैल्यू नहीं है जब तक आपको एक्चुअल मार्केटिंग कैंपेन्स बनाना नहीं आती, right? So start learning about Facebook advertising, YouTube advertising, यूनिवर्सल एड कैंपेन्स, गूगल एड कैंपेन्स की भी बहुत टाइप्स हैं, सही. सो उसमें आप ड्वेल करें, बट ये कि मेरे ख्याल में यू हैव टू गेट योर हैंड्स डर्टी. देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नो अदर वे आउट. एंड यू नो, just I'm gonna end my conversation on just one last thought, that if you want to understand how a lion hunts, don't go to the zoo, go to the jungle, right? So similar, e-commerce is the new jungle, right? So if you want to understand how the shopper shops, you just can't understand that by sitting on this in your classes or by sitting with your friends. You have to get your hands dirty, right? There is absolutely no other way out.
Thank you so much, Humza, for joining us and for your time. Humza had other commitments, so he has to leave, but we have a couple of questions.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Aamir. Thank you, Mujtaba. Thank you, Abdullah.
Thank you so much. So we have a couple of other questions from the two other panelists. The first question is that what stops Nestle or P&G, etc., from launching their own retail shops for their own products instead of using Daraz and other online stores? So I think this question is from Lake, and I think Aamir can answer this question.
So, very good question. But the idea is that Daraz specializes in e-commerce, right? So the added cost of developing the own platform is huge. Okay? That's one of the reasons why Daraz is still not into profits, right? Because logistics costs, marketing costs, website handling costs, these are huge costs. Nestle and RB, what they specialize in is their products, their brands. The brands are of such values that whichever platform they place in, it will give the platform boost, as well as the brands will sell by their name. So the idea of these brands is to use their brands and use their names, which they have developed in the market since many years, and then synergize with Daraz, as Daraz is the #1 e-com platform in Pakistan, and through these synergies, the actual value which both the companies can drive is huge. So these are one of the reasons I feel that these companies are partnering up with Daraz and not developing their own platform.
I would just like to add one thing, like from my experience. So the marketing cost, so there has been a lot of talk in UAE, by the way, from the restaurant owners having their own platform because the commissions charged are really high and stuff like that. But what they don't know is it takes hundreds and thousands of dollars per month. Speaking for Daraz, hundreds and thousands of dollars per month to reach out to people, to show them ad digitally or offline, whatever it is. So this kind of investment and commitment is really huge. This is one of the biggest concerns I had. And then there is logistics to it. You have to set up your own fleet of logistical partners and stuff like that. So that is a very big commitment and investment which they have to put into a developing market itself. So I think that is something what is stopping them. And then for synergy, as Aamir talked about, per person coming for Nestle, for instance, they are selling water, or Nestle waters, whatever it is. So a person will not only come to buy water on their platform. Since at Daraz they have products from every kind of field or every kind of category, then they can just mix and match and have their thing delivered. So that is the kind of synergy Daraz provides them with.
Yes, thank you, Aamir and Mujtaba. The next question is that quantify the change in terms of percentage for e-commerce due to COVID. This question is from Zain Imtiaz. And Mujtaba, if you can answer this question.
Quantifying might not be allowed to us, but I can say for a fact that the baselines have increased by more than 100%.
Okay. And Aamir?
Yes, sorry, I just joined back. Can I have the question again?
That quantify the change in terms of percentage for e-commerce due to COVID.
I believe it has been a 30 to 40% increase, if I have to say, in terms of sales and specifically FMCG sales. It has been a 30 to 40% increase in terms of sales for FMCG sector overall, not just the RAS overall, where the other platforms also contribute, like Hummart and other such platforms, grocery platforms.
Okay, so the next question is that how do you manage same or next day deliveries for FMCG, even if it is in your warehouse, because your warehouses are in limited places? This is for Aamir from Daraz.
So what we have managed is for the products which are in our warehouse, we have set a cutoff time. So for example, if I have to order dalda oil, for example, so the orders which are placed by a certain cutoff time, they pop up on the system in the warehouse, where they know that these are the orders which have to be fulfilled tomorrow or today. So we have certain cutoff times, and beyond that cutoff time, if you place your order, then you won't get it on the same day. So these are certain ways where we monitor, we have dashboard made, and certain number of delivery heroes from Daraz Express, our delivery service. They are there to fulfill those orders, and they are ready every time when such orders pop up. So it's a promise to our customers, and there's a whole background working for it to deliver that promise.
All right.
Mahira, in this field, a lot of other companies have also joined in the same day delivery. I think Airlift Grocer has been working as an aggregator in this segment, and they have actually had to develop multiple small depots all over Karachi and all over Lahore in order to fulfill their promise of 45-minute delivery. I'm not yet sure as to what their percentage fulfillment rate is within this time period, but of course, as the market evolves towards short-term delivery, same hour or even the same day delivery, we'll see a lot more I would say expense on infrastructure that is required to meet those expectations of consumers.
Yes. The next question is from Mujtaba, that what kind of problems customers are facing that need to be addressed by the companies for boosting the culture of online buying? Mujtaba, you're mute.
Yeah. I think we discussed this during the webinar itself, that it's about the trust. They need to know if they are ordering right now for the next day, the order will be there with them the next day. Also, with the snacking and munchies, Humza was 100% right that if you are craving for chips or ice cream or Coke or whatever it is, you have to have it in the next hour or so. So logistics is one thing. And then for the customers themselves, they need to know the right kind of seller if they are buying from. So Daraz or any other platform has to establish the quality control for at least to some level for the top 10 sellers or whatever it is. the level of trust and logistics, I would say, are the biggest concerns of me or anyone being a consumer. You would also want to order whatever you want, or you are ordering, and you would want to have it as soon as possible, and you want to have the right product as well. You don't want to open a bag of booze.
Okay, so the next question is, what do you think will be the future collaborations between e-commerce and telecommunication operators post-COVID, since these kind of collaborations will create a win-win situation for both the stakeholders? So, any of you who would like to take this question?
What I see, collaborations will be more of the payment gateway type of thing. Not so, yeah, 4G, 3G, and all that. The Daraz app is available with, I think, for free. It used to be like in that way. If you are on Telenor internet or you have a Telenor SIM, you can download that. But these are low level of things. But with Jazz Cash, Easy Pesa, and all that, I think that is the bigger platform, and that is where the potential lies for collaboration, because this is how the not only the payments and the methods are going to be streamlined, but also the data, the kind of data these telcos have, and it's going to help Daraz and other platforms to target them. People know what, so because it's the ID card, they know what age people are in. The SMS marketing can be a very big way of reaching to them. So these are the kind of collaborations. But the biggest potential I would see is the payment methods and payment gateways with these telcos.
Okay, the next question is that that FMCGs are mostly importing finished goods or even raw materials, and their margins aren't that good. That, coupled with the modus operandi of giving discounts online, and the fact that there are retailers also buying products from online channels, spoiling the market rate dynamics. So that makes the company hesitant in serving a channel that is diluting their margin and also cannibalizing their offline market. So what do you have to say regarding this?
I think the margins are really good, but by the way, Aamir might have a better understanding of it. What I think, the margins are really good. And it's not about giving the discounts, honestly. E-commerce, we used to talk about back in the days, 2018, 2019 as well. You have to make it a habit. You have to make it an option for people, not because of discounts, but the level of service and the level of ease you are providing them. I here in Dubai, for instance, order food online all the time. I have to pay 5 or 6 dirhams, 7 dirhams extra for the delivery. But the ease and the level of comfort I have from ordering from home, that is what I'm willing to pay. This is what you have to sell to the customers in Pakistan as well. Aamir would better have an idea about the FMCG margins, I assume. Can you hear us?
Yes, Aamir, can you hear?
Yes,
Hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes. So basically, the question was regarding the margins.
Okay, I got it. So basically, yes, the margins are very thin in terms of offering discounts, but what we have kept at Daraz is for major brands, we have created the margins in such a way that it's industry specific. It's not flat, for example, 10% across the industry, across all industries. For groceries, we have kept to a minimum 4 to 5% or max 8 to 10% margins depending on category to category. So we have joint business plans with P&G, Reckitt, and in these plans we jot down points where certain extra margins are offered, as they are offered to the IMTs and LMTs based on the shelf positioning and extra marketing discounts. So these companies manage these margins and discounts in this way, like they do with the IMTs and LMTs. For market spillage, there is always 5 to 6% market spillage, and throughout different industries. So that's something which was happening in the past, and that's something which you can't stop, even if you put cart rules, or even if you put limited discount offers or per cart transaction limits. This is something you can't control.
All right. So the next question is that a lot of people have lost internships during this pandemic, or there isn't much learning in these internships because of them being virtual, and companies are generally unprepared to move them online. So does this hinder job prospects, especially when looking forward to a career in e-commerce and marketing, considering they require practical knowledge?
I believe not really. So the internships and those meaningful internships are important, but just internship for the sake of it, as I previously mentioned, is it will not help you in getting any job. So the idea is, if you're not offered any internship, do some online courses. And by courses, I really mean the ones which you get learnings from. Digital marketing courses, maybe learn a language, SQL, Python, which Mujtaba talked about. There are many things which you can now learn online and use this experience of learning in your job interview and wherever you apply next, rather than just showing up that I have this internship, or just showing a fancy brand name. This won't really help. So the future dynamics, the job dynamics have really changed. So you need to have core solid learnings or experience on your resume in order to land a good job.
All right, and Aamir, there are two more questions from you. That how have you found the Setia companies discouraging e-commerce, and how are you pitching the idea to these companies? This is the first question. The second question is that Daraz does not provide data that is required to grow upon what's happening on their platform. You get sales data, but data around search and in platform assets you don't get. So these are the two questions.
So in terms of data which is provided to the brands, it depends on there is certain level of data which is provided to all the brands, certain level which has been approved from the Alibaba team. So the tech, Alibaba really doesn't compromises on the data. So data is of key importance to the company. Then if we talk about the first question, sorry, I forgot the first question. What was that?
That how have you found the Setia companies discouraging
Okay.
e-commerce, and how are you pitching the idea?
Initially, it was very difficult to onboard these brands. But as other players started coming, like when I was in fashion, when J. Gul Ahmed, and these companies started joining Daraz and selling on it, the one company which we were really after, Bonanza Satrangi. So it's typical Setia company, and they were very reluctant to join Daraz. They were like, what will be the tax implications? What will be the payment implications? But when we made them realize that all the other key partners or all the other key competitors are selling on Daraz, they eventually onboarded with us. So it's more of how the industry has evolved, and these players, by seeing how other players have joined in the e-com platform, they are just following their lead. So this is how we have been able to crack Setia companies and onboarding them, and they are doing really well. And even they have hired e-com specialists now to help them out in these companies. Like a lot of companies have now, who we know are core Setia companies, but have the e-com division. So not just RB, PNG, and Unilever have the e-com division. All these companies have started to grow their e-com divisions as well.
All right, and the last question is from Mujtaba, that after seeing the post-COVID spike in the e-commerce industry, how optimistic does that future of e-commerce in Pakistan seem to be, and how likely is it for companies like Amazon to take Pakistani market seriously?
For Amazon, I don't think I have good news about that, because Amazon really enters markets where Alibaba is present, or it's going to be a war. But from consumers' perspective and from an employee perspective, it's going to be an amazing war for us. Because if bigger companies like Amazon are entering, that would be good. But I don't see that happening in near future. It has to be Daraz you have to deal with. You have to get on good terms with Aamir so that he hires you next time you apply. But the thing with this is it's going to stay. I think, as I said, the old habits die hard. People are going to buy online. People are going to, if there were 5 people buying, it's going to be 10. As I said, what I'm seeing here in UAE, the baselines have jumped by 100% at least for most of the markets. So it is here to stay. But again, it's not going to be at this level. People will want to go out. People will be encouraged to go out as well. But even then, from the pre-COVID levels, I think there will be a 50 to 60% uplift in the near future. And again, if is what everyone is saying, it's going to be like COVID has only put on the higher gears. It has accelerated the process of adaptation of e-commerce. All of us, there will be so many people who are listening to us, they wouldn't have bought from e-commerce before, now they have. So I think you would, if it's gonna, like, if e-commerce had to reach a point 5 years from now, the COVID has brought down the timeline to 2 years. That's what I have learned in the past 2 or 3 months.
And Aamir, would you like to add something to this last question?
I'll not be able to add. Sorry, I have to go.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking out the time.
Thank you, guys. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.
Allah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And I think Hussain can conclude this webinar now.
Thank you, all of you, for joining us for this. We covered a lot of diverse topics related to e-commerce, the problems that we are facing in terms of the people who are using the platforms in Pakistan, the social media users. We have a huge issue of the buying habits where people prefer markets, and the payment gateways. We don't really trust the e-commerce.
Okay, I think Hassan's internet is stuck. But yeah, so I'd firstly like to thank all the panelists who joined us today, Hussain, Mujtaba, Humza Mahfooz, and Muhammad Aamir, for taking out the time and for joining us today. We're going to circulate a form to all the participants that if you have any other specific questions which you want to ask from the panelists, we can forward those questions to them. And also thank you for joining this session. The next session of the LUMS Tech Club is going to be next Saturday at 4 p.m. It's going to be with the CEO of Dawai, Furqan Kidwai, and it's also going to be a very interesting session. So yes, thank you for joining us and thank you for your time. I hope you learned a lot from this session. Thank you.